If you're watching this video right now, you're probably at the breaking point where you're questioning everything about yourself. Months of applications, endless rejections, radio silence. You're starting to wonder if maybe you're just not cut out for anything better. Well, what I'm about to tell you will change how you see this entire situation. The first thing is that you are not the problem. So it's not because you're dumb, it's not because you're unqualified necessarily, and it's certainly not because you're broken. It's that you've been playing a rigged game without even knowing the rules. And the reality is that you've been doing everything that you were told to, but no one told you that the system that you're playing in has fundamentally changed. The problem isn't really your abilities, it's that you've been fighting battles that were never really winnable anymore in the first place. And here's the job market truth that no one has told you. There is a fake job posting epidemic. Many of the job postings that you're applying to are not even real. Like, did you know that? When I first heard that, that was crazy. And I've heard this from a lot of people that are insiders at these companies as well. So if you remember back to the learn to code movement, back when there was a boom in a lot of these IT tech jobs and stuff like that, right? Even your aunt was learning how to code, right? Well, back then, the big thing, because these publicly traded companies, what you have to understand, they're all about appeasing the shareholders. And the main vehicle for doing that back then was to just hire more people. So what these companies were doing was they were artificially boosting their perceived value to the shareholders by saying, oh, look, we hired X number of people this month. See how much we're growing? We're a growing company. You should invest in us, right? And that was the name of the game that all of these companies were playing, which for us as candidates, for us applying to these tech jobs, that was amazing. That was a golden age, right? What ended up happening was these companies dramatically overhired. They overhired to the point that instead of hiring people that they actually needed, to get stuff done at the company, you would have people that their responsibility, I'm not even kidding, sole responsibility was to manage like one button on a website. I know that from my insider programmer friends. And, even in cybersecurity, there was a major boom in hiring, right? Just hire a bunch of tech people, right? Market has kind of caught on to that. The investors have caught on to that, certainly. And that is no longer the meta, right? Let's say. So what is the meta now? Well, unfortunately, the meta now is to, there's a big AI narrative and all that, and that could be a whole nother video, but a lot of it now is to cut hiring, right? Lay off a lot of people in general. This is all across tech. This is all across all jobs as well, not even just tech, but tech has been hit particularly hard with this. But, if you just do that, right? If you just fire a bunch of people, is not a very good sign for how your company looks to the shareholders. So what do? You put job postings so it looks like you're still hiring, right? It looks like you're not necessarily trending in a downward direction by getting rid of a bunch of people. No, we're still hiring, right? So that's why you have these situations. You probably heard stories of people saying like, oh yeah, I got fired from my position only to see that my position is, they're looking for it out, they have a job posting for it, right? So it's like they fired me and now immediately they're trying to hire for my position. Well, the reality most likely in that case, and the reality in many cases is that that's just a ghost job. That's what we call a ghost job posting. They're not actually looking to hire someone for that position, but they want to have the illusion that they are so that the shareholders, have a better perception of them, essentially. I mean, that's a huge issue for one thing, but you also have another problem that you're contending with, and that is flood of AI job applications, right? People are using AI generated tools to spam their job applications out to a bunch of these companies. So, me talking to a lot of people that are hiring managers and HR people at these companies, what they're telling me is like, even if I wanted to go through all of them manually, that would be not feasible, so they have to actually use these automated solutions and AI tools as well, just to sift through the massive volume that they're getting, that they didn't get that many. They got a lot still before, but not as many back when people had to more manually apply to them. But now even the ones that you traditionally have to manually apply to, you could spam out with an AI tool. So by you playing that old school game that, the old heads told you to do, where it's like, oh yeah, just apply to a bunch of jobs, eventually You'll get lucky, right? Have a good resume, follow this template and just apply. And you'll land an interview and you'll probably bomb the interview the first time, but you just, you got to get in a bunch of interviews, fail a bunch, and then eventually you'll succeed and you'll get that that coveted holy grail job that you've been searching so hard for, right? The problem with that, is probably pretty apparent, right? It's like, well, we are contending with these ghost job applications and we're contending with all these AI auto apply tools. How feasible is it really to just play that brute force game, that, bang your head against the wall until it breaks type of game? Well, your head's probably going to break first now, like before the wall does, in this case. And so it's like, what I'm seeing is that even people that are landing the interviews, people that are lucky enough to land them, right? The issue they're having is they're failing it on the first time because it's like their first interview. They're feeling extra nerves, right? Because it's like, oh my God, I finally landed a cybersecurity interview. I hope I don't screw this up. So what they end up doing is they end up bombing the interview, missing questions that they actually knew how to do, but they were feeling this extra pressure. So they kind of caved in under that, and now it's like so demoralizing. It's like, well, how many more jobs am I gonna have to apply to just to get one again? So all this is to say that the traditional job search advice is outdated and broken, and it just doesn't really apply to this market. This market has shifted so much. So what does work is the question, right? There's a number of things you can do. I would say number one is that instead of just playing the volume game, playing the numbers game, and brute force applying, you want to really put more effort into each job that you're applying to. So you want to make sure that you are the perfect fit for what they're looking for, not just a good fit. Because as you can imagine, when the ball's in their court, they have so many to choose from, they're going to choose the one that's the best option for what they're looking for. I mean, why wouldn't they, right? So you want to make sure that you are tailoring your resume perfectly for each and every job that you apply for. And, it's going to take extra time. It's going to take extra effort. And that is what most people are not going to be doing. So therefore, if we look at, okay, how do I stand out? Well, by standing out, by definition, you got to be doing something different than everyone else. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that I can tell you is it's going to be really helpful to get word of mouth. That is more powerful than ever before, because with the students that I'm teaching, what we're having the most success with, just to give you some insider info here, are getting interviews from recruiter reach outs. So that is why I've developed what I call my inbound offer engine, because personally in my career, I never had to formally apply. So I had to kind of retroactively learn this and kind of learn this from the other side as someone that was looking at these resumes and stuff, and to figure out what works. Because I've been in process of that for like most of my career, of like interviewing candidates, looking at resumes, as well as something that I did on the side at these companies. But that was my first reference point, because I actually never like did it on the other side before. Like all the jobs I've gotten in my career were recruiters reaching out to me first. And the way that I was able to do that is I created what I call an inbound offer engine. So that's basically, I was able to leverage the experience that I had and really putting together a solid profile and the projects and everything like that to attract attention and get them reaching out to me first. Now, that was something that was a nice to have before, like back when I utilized it, because it meant like, hey, anytime I wanted a job, like I would literally just go on my LinkedIn. Like maybe I would sign up for LinkedIn Premium for a couple weeks just to, get even more traction. And I would check my LinkedIn inbox. I would always have recruiters reaching out to me. And, if I did that, I would boost it up. It would get even more. And then it's like, okay, out of these, which company do I want to work for? Okay, let me follow up with this person. And that's how I got like the last 3 jobs in my career. I'll put it on the screen right now, a little snippet from my LinkedIn so you can see the companies that I've worked for. Probably some of them before. And that just shows how effective that was. Now, even back then, it's like, oh, it was a nice to have, right? I could have applied and sent a bunch of applications out and things like that. But, now I would say it's way more of a necessity because it's brutal out there. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that, right? So if you had someone that was reaching out to you, how helpful do you think that would be, right? If you had a recruiter reaching out to you first, because then you wouldn't even have to play this numbers game that we just spent all this time talking about. And this, you wouldn't have to deal with these AI auto spam tools and stuff, because they would set you up with an interview with a hiring manager right away. They would say as a formality, fill out the job application so we have you on record, but they would automatically move you through that pipeline. That's one of the things that I found has been the most helpful for the students that I'm mentoring with getting jobs, is to really position yourself, learn the skill set so that you can position yourself above the entry level so that you can get recruiters reaching out to you. That's the key way that would kind of summarize that. And as a bonus that is really helpful is find a mentor. This is something that I always do myself personally. I talked about this in a recent video. If I have the screenshot still, I'll put it up on the screen. But I invested $12,000 in training and mentorship to help grow my business. And actually, just the other day, I re-upped that. I spent $4K for just 2 more months of training and mentorship. So that is how, I'm practicing what I preach. So it's not just like, oh, hey, like, he's selling mentorship. That's why like he's telling you to get mentors. It's like, no, this is something that I've been doing my entire career. And I'm still doing to this day. It's extremely valuable because, look, you might be watching this video and your mind might be blown, right? You might be like, wow, all out of the stuff that you're talking about, I didn't even know this was happening. And it's like, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So if that's the case in this, 8-minute video so far, whatever it's been, and how many other things do you think are out there that's like, oh, I didn't know that, right? So how can you learn that? Well, all the information, yeah, it's out there for free online. That's what a lot of the naysayers will say in the comments. It's all for free online. Why wouldn't you just, learn for free? Well, yeah, it is. And even everything I told you in this video, this is out there for free. I mean, this is a YouTube video. So by definition, this is all free information, right? But what are the chances that you stumble on that information? And even if you do stumble on that information for free online, what are the chances that you take it serious beyond all the other noise that's out there, a lot of which is bad information, right? So we live in a time of overabundance of information. So what a mentor does is they help distill down, okay, what is the important information? What's the good information? And that way you can discard the rest. And so you're only left with what you need to actually achieve your goals. So that's how it speeds up the process rather than you having to dig through and discern and get the opinions of a lot of people. Like, is this good information? Is this bad information? One person might tell you one thing, the other one tells you another thing, right? It's like, it's difficult enough as it is. So that is the value of mentorship, just to kind of cut through all of that. But if you're still trying to figure out exactly what career to pursue, then I would highly recommend cybersecurity. I mentioned, that's what I've been doing my whole career, and it's not by accident. It's a field with some really amazing opportunities out there, and I think like a lot of the tech jobs have been hit really hard, and I'm not sure when some of them are going to come back, if they're ever going to really come back in volume like they were before. Like, for example, programming, right? AI is actually really good at a lot of the coding stuff. You're still going to need senior developers, but like those junior developers roles, I don't know if it's ever going to be the same as it was, in that field as, it was a few years ago. Whereas cybersecurity, there is insane demand for this stuff because, the AI stuff is creating more security issues. I have a lot of videos about that on my channel as well that you guys can go and watch. But this is something that is only going to increase in demand. But here's the thing. It's going to impact the people that are like entry level, for sure. So what I would describe is this. Cybersecurity, you might hear 2 things. You might hear there's a shortage of qualified people and it's oversaturated. Well, those are both true. And how can that be? You might be wondering, how can those both be true? Well, it's oversaturated with people that want to get into cybersecurity but don't really know how to do anything. But there is a massive shortage of people that actually have the skill set. So that's why I think it's more important than ever before to, get a mentor, learn the stuff, and learn like what you need to know so that you can position yourself above that entry level, because that's where all the opportunity is. And, when I say entry level, because this used to be the case, a lot of these jobs, it used to be like, hey, I can know almost nothing about how to do the job, and they're just going to teach me everything on the job. I think that's gone for good. But in terms of like, and when I say like know how to do the job, I'm not just talking about, oh, I've done a lot of try hack me rooms. I've done a lot of hack the box. I've done a lot of, I've gotten security plus or whatever, or, maybe you're doing something else, right? Like maybe you're pursuing a different field. I'm not just talking about the base level certifications and trainings. I'm talking about actual experience doing the craft to be able to showcase that you're someone that knows how to do it. That's what these companies are looking for. They're looking for someone who can hit the ground running, that already knows how to do this stuff. So for cybersecurity, if you can prove that, not only prove that, but actually have that skill set, then that is what is going to unlock all the tremendous opportunity that exist in the field of cybersecurity. So if you want a step-by-step guide on how to break into cybersecurity from complete beginner, then check out the playlist down in the description section below.